Hi, my name is Mike Naughton. I'm an attorney in Traverse City, Michigan. And I want to talk about two concepts that have gained a lot of notoriety the past couple of weeks. That's wiretaps and pen registers. These two concepts are very, very different, and their application in federal and sometimes state criminal investigations is entirely different, and they collect different types of data. So I want to talk about that. Wiretap became really, really big within the last couple of weeks because of reporting that Michael Cohen, the attorney for Donald Trump that's under investigation, that his phones had been tapped. They've since walked back that claim and said that there were pen registers. A wiretap comes from Title III of the 1968 Omnibus Crime Control Act. And what Title III has are very specific requirements that an investigating agent must put in an authorization that they're seeking in order to get the contents of communications. And that's the big difference between wiretap and pen register. With a wiretap, you're getting the communication contents. So typically what you get are 30-day authorizations to essentially plug into the phone. You have to identify which phone it is, the phone number that you're seeking to get the contents of communication of, and you have 30-day windows that you keep reapplying for. There's very specific requirements. I'm going to put a link below with something from the U.S. Department of Justice that specifies what the requirements are for a wiretap so that you can see each of the different things law enforcement must get. By law enforcement, too, I mean an FBI agent or any other investigative agency that's seeking this content. But this checklist says what they need to do. Something that is often attacked, and something I've done in my practice, is this idea of minimization. Is a Title III wiretap really necessary? Are there less invasive means to get the investigative materials that you're seeking other than a wiretap, which is really the most invasive thing you can do when you're actively listening to someone's phone, especially in today's day and age with mobile? But that's wiretap. It's getting the contents of phone communications. Pen register is different. Pen register data is essentially the spreadsheet from a cellular or phone provider that shows incoming and outgoing phone calls. What isn't there is the content. For all intents and purposes, pen register data is phone metadata. It's the data that shows when, how long, whether it was a text or a phone call. In location data is often in that as well. But the pen register data shows the data that supports the content. So metadata for an image, for example, the content of the image is the picture itself. The metadata is the data that shows when it was created, by what camera, what the aperture was, things like that. That's what pen register data is. It doesn't have the content. What it does do, though, is it provides leads for investigators to find out who is participating in conversations. Something that is often done, and especially in a request for pen register data, is to identify who the investigating agent thinks the co-conspirator or co-conspirators are for the subject that's under investigation. The biggest distinction between these two concepts, pen register and wiretap, is content versus metadata. What's inconclusive and hasn't been discussed, and I'd be surprised if it was at this point, was whether or not the phone was wiretapped or phones. Federal agents can't divulge that. That's not something that's bandied about, especially during an ongoing investigation. So the question of whether or not Mr. Cohen's phones were tapped is unknown. But that's the difference between the two concepts, wiretap and pen register. If you got questions, hit me up in the comments. If you liked the video, please hit the thumb. If you want to find more, hit subscribe. And if you're really interested and want to get notifications, hit the bell. Thanks.